Hey, this is Hans from Request for Music, and well, this is F Code's new module. And first of all, this sometimes you can have simple ideas and very small concepts that can lead to surprisingly musical results. And it started with me thinking of the Morse code for SOS. That sounds very rhythmical, so something like this actually. So that's SOS, but there are other known well examples of Morse code turned into music. Think of the track YYZ by Rush, YYZ being the airport code for Toronto, and in that track they translated those letters into Morse code, and that Morse pattern becomes the rhythm of the intro. So something completely abstract, just a code, turned into something musical, and that's exactly the idea that I had behind F-codes. So instead of building a sequencer from steps and grid, this module starts from a different place. So what if text, symbols, or some encoded information could become rhythm? And once you have that rhythm, what if you could turn it into pitch, structure, and musical behavior? And that is what F-codes does. It takes text, code, or symbolic input and turns it into a playable sequence of gates, pitches, and events. So you're not just programming notes, you're translating the ideas that you can have, or the words, or whatever you enter into the editor, into music. And depending on how you interpret that data, the results can be tight and rhythmic, or loose and expressive, or even completely generative. And from that point that you start off with, everything in the module is built around three stages actually. Those stages are the mode, the map, and the quantize. So you can find that here. There's mode, map, and quant or quantize. Mode decides the rhythm. Map decides how the pitch is derived from whatever you've put in, and the quant turns that into musical pitch. So the same text can sound completely different depending on how you combine those three. So I'll start simple and build from there. So first thing, to edit text, you double click the text field. So in here, type whatever you want, and then if you click outside of that field, so you can click somewhere, and then you activate your playback again. So if you don't click out, it won't update. So let's type something simple first. I'll click in here and put hello in there. And I'm going to use my, well, yeah, I'm not quite sure what I'll use. I could take actually the other preset that I created for the MEMS already. So if I take this, I double click in here and I'll change this into hello, and I'll click out of it, and you see that it's combined there. And every letter that you see in Morse code, you'll see that you have your dots and dashes. So in the background, there are these lists that already translate those letters into the Morse code. So we're in Morse code at the moment. Each letter becomes those dots and dashes, and dots are short gates and dashes are long gates. So if I play this now, you get some kind of a rhythmic pattern. You can already hear that this is not grid based. It's based on the phrase of whatever you put in there. And of course, if you have this, yeah, you have the speed that you can change. And in this case, there's no difference in between those small and or the dots and the stripes, because MEMS does not take that in, and even a gate length that I can have here, it will not respond to that too well. So I might take another module later. But you can hear at least that if I change this, maybe I could indeed change it to a normal oscillator first. So let's take a library and take a VCO and take a VCF and take an ADSR. So I've got this sort of a holy trinity of whatever you do. Oops, whatever you do in music. So I'll take this one in, and I'll take MEMS out for now. So I need to connect my gate into my ADSR, and I'll take my pitch into the external of my VCO. I will connect that later on, and I'll take this into here and take my ADSR into the filter and take this in there. And yeah, if everything's okay, one should be enough. So if I run this, okay, let's change the sound a bit. So so now you can hear that there is indeed a difference between gate length and of course the speed. So something like this. So indeed, gate length, speed, all that kind of stuff does something. Then there's also space, and the space that can be added between those letters. So let's have a look. Let's see how my loudness is actually. So I'll change the space. So those are spaces between letters and stuff like that. So already from plain text, you can get something rhythmic and expressive by using this length and stuff like that. But now, right now, the pitch itself is driven by map. So at the moment, the map is at linear, but I have QUANT set to off at this moment. So let's put that in scale. Because scale is actually a scale that is something like the C scale or D scale or whatever, because you have a root setting here, and now it will change the pitch of the output coming into the VCO. So let's go do that. So that's linear, a linear behavior of that scale, but I can also have different ones. I can have a wrap that wraps the higher values of the letters back into 12-tone system. So wrap 12. So the next one would be ASCII. ASCII is different encoding, and yeah, those are much more wide jumps and more chaotic. And the last one is, or sorry, the one before last is the Morse, where it changes it into this Morse scheme again to shape that. So the rhythm stays the same, but the pitch behavior changes completely in that case. The last one is ENIGMA. And ENIGMA, in that case, actually, ENIGMA is the machine that the Brits used in the Second World War to change their sort of coding for messages. And what ENIGMA does is it has a rotating transformation system to change the letters into some other code. So that means that the rhythm stays the same, but the pitch identity changes. So let's take in a normal letter. So something like this, A, 4 times. And I'll run this first in linear. So I get this. But now put it into ENIGMA. So that's the pitch layer that evolves internally, and the rhythm stays the same, as I said, and it makes this great for generative melodies that don't feel static anyway, because every letter will be changed each time that it's that is coming to this letter. And of course there are modes like or there's a loop mode in there, so it's either a loop or a single run for whatever you have. You can have pretty long text in here, so you can just create the thing that you want. Now, the next thing is this quantize thing. So let's take something else. Let's take something like A, C, E, G, and what do we have? E, I, K, L, M, O, something like this. A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. So I got something like this. Let's go back to linear first and put this at scale first. So it's going to... It's running through that. So now let's take something like... no, I'll keep it at linear for now. But if I listen to the different scales, scale is the normal scale, the normal C scale in this case, or any of the other scales that I can select in here. The next thing is chromatic, so then it can change the notes differently. It's going through different steps, or otherwise it would always build within a normal scale, and now it can take chromatic notes. The next is that you can use octaves, so it only jumps at a specific range. If letters are high enough, it will jump to another range for that. And if you take fifths, you can have that kind of behavior. So even if you have some more chaotic mapping, then you can change that. So for this octave thing, let's take a larger set of letters. So A, G, R, U, C. So something like this. I need to click out. Now it's at fifth. Fifth scale would be normally something like this. Take the octaves. And the octaves are also decided by whatever range you set. So if I set it to a larger range, I get a larger range in notes. So in fifth, something like this. But now, for the rest, it's still decided how it sounds by using the Morse mode. So let's have another look at what it can do, because let's go back and let's type in hello again. And I'll click out, so it uses this in the play mode. And now again, if I am in Morse, then it runs, and I got something like this, depending on whatever range I have and whatever I've set here. So let's go back to scale. Now, of course, the length of whatever it plays is also dependent on the number of codes or number of dots and dashes that it needs for a letter. If instead I go into my mode and I take something like binary, then the binary is always the same if you look at the length of a code, because it's always those 7 bits that it's using. So let's go out of this and let's reset and let's run. So each character becomes a binary value where the 1 is played and the 0 isn't. So you get a very tight, very mechanical sort of style that way. So let's take the spacing back. So next one would be, and I'll stop it for now and I'll take another value in and I'll put in 1 2 0 1 2 0 1 2, and for the rest that's it. And I'll take another mode like ternary first. Ternary is something that only has 3 options. Yeah, so it's 0 1 and 2. And actually, if you need some more help on input, it's not as as complete as a normal manual, but still it would give you some of those values. So you see, you get 0 as being a rest, 1 as being a short gate, 2 as being a long gate. So if you put this in, I've just clicked on this help mode for the ternary in this case. So if I run this, the pitch is also used by this. So let's take this back. So you hear that the 1 is shorter and the 2 is a longer space in there. So that's what ternary does. Then a next one would be hex code. I've just been looking for some different sort of codes to use apart from the Morse. I was just looking around to see if it could be more useful with other versions. So if I put it in hex, and I'll just type in some hex code, something like 1A3F7C, something like that, and I'll put that in and see what it does. So you can see you can have very, very different effects. Next one would be the custom. It's in a different place, but if I go into custom and I look at my help, you can see that there are some special values in there. I can use short gates, long gates, short rest space as longer rest, a couple of separators in there, but there's also a kick, snare, and hi-hat tag. So you can actually use that to take different things out. So if I click outside of this and click this, and I'll take K and underscore H underscore S underscore H, something like this, and put this, I've put this at custom mode, and now just play it. The thing is that I can actually split that out. I'll switch it off for now, and I'll hide my cables. Because on the output side of the things, I have the pitch and the gate connected, but I have 3 more outputs, and those outputs are selectable and I'll go into that deeper later on. But let's see, I have a kick, I have a snare, and I have a hat output, and the software recognizes if I use a K, H, S, or H in. So let's first of all, I'll save this as a patch so I have it later on. But now I'm going to take these 3, where am I? Out, and I'm going to use this EMS module again, the membranes, and I'm going to put 3 of them in, something like this, and I'll take all of it back a bit so you can see it. Switch library off, and I might need a mixer, so I'll use my mix module, and switch the library off again and connect this also. That is already connected. I'll hook this up here and I'll connect both of the all three of those modules. So I've got this here, there, that one into the second, and that one into the third. And let's pretend the first one will be the kick, the second one will be this snare, so I'll take it just a bit to the left, and the hi-hat will be the third one. So I'm going to take those things out now. So I'm going to switch this to kick, and I'm going to take that output into the trigger of this, going to take the trigger from that there, put that into snare, and put this into a hi-hat, and put that in there as well. So let's see what we have now. So, and of course the sounds are still the same, but let's take something else. So I have my my presets in there, which I will make available later on. So I have a kick, and I'll change the decay of this, and maybe for the hi-hat I could take some other thing like the metals modules. That's maybe better. So first of all, let's take this into a snare, a lo-fi snare. So speed up a bit, because I don't think I have anything that could be, yeah, might. So something like this, and obviously you could take another module to get a better hi-hat or something in there. But to start off with, it's pretty easy to create this, because now I could just go on and put another edge and snare and so yeah, that's the sort of thing that you can do with the custom custom mode that is in there. And last but not least, or not even last, the next mode would be the note mode, where you can just put notes in there. So if I take this out and I do something like C 4 D 4 G 4, and then back to or up to C5 maybe even, and then a B2 to have something low. Well, let's just see what it does. So I'll put that in, got it at note, and oops, it might be better if I use a node for that. So actually I'll take this code first. So let's get back to the earlier one, or the even earlier than that. So change this to note, and I've got scale on, and let's just run it. So that's a pretty simple and very fast way, and it doesn't look at matter or at scales at the moment, at the map or the quantize. Really, it does look at other things a bit, but not really, because you give it the notes already. A last thing that you can have as a mode is the Braille. And Braille is, of course, there's no standard Braille in there, but every letter that you enter is changed into a six-step pattern, because if you place the Braille values in a different way, you get into six-step patterns, and so you can use that with all kinds of codes. So if I do something like A B C D E, F, G, and H or something, and I'll put this in there. You see that in Braille. So something like that. And as I said, I have all of these event outputs, so I can use those to do different things. I have, for instance, an accent or all those other things. So let's, for instance, assign this one to a short. So that means that I'll want to use my Morse, for instance, and I'll use the short, and I'll use the long, and I'll use, yeah, words are not connected. Let's take this, and I'm going to use the bright or the short one on a filter, for instance, and I'll use this one to drive something like the pulse width, or who knows. Maybe I'll have to do that the other way around. So all kinds of things that you can use that for. So with one text, you can drive all kinds of layers, and in custom, as I showed you, you can. So if I'm in this custom mode and I change that to K, S, H, and that kind of stuff, you have all of those outputs like kick, snare, hat. So in that case, you can use it to become a full drum pattern. And of course, you have all kinds of modulation inputs for speed, for gate length, for space, for probability, because I haven't looked at that, but there's probability in there. So it may decide that your gate is not going to run at all. Transpose, root, and arrange a root for all of the scales. So if you used that, yeah, Morse and all that kind of stuff, and you used any of those other things, then the scale becomes important. If I have switched this to scale, so then the root will be changed. So you've got all kinds of options there. So yeah, you have that. You have all kinds of possibilities to output to different things like ratchets and all that kind of stuff, because some of those modes have ratchet options in there as well. And there's also an end of code or end of control. So if it's at the point of a loop, then the end of the EOC output is going to drive that sequence to run or start. So it's a very complete sort of controller for the structure of whatever you can do. So what Fcodes really gives you is a way to turn any text into a structure. You can think in words, symbols, patterns, and you can immediately turn that into rhythms and pitch. And because of the fact that those modes and the maps and quantize are separate, one idea can become very different in its output, and that's where I think it becomes interesting. So I hope you like it. I hope it will be in the store as soon as possible, and obviously it will have a 5-day demo. And yeah, I hope you can use it and look forward to whatever you can come up with. So have fun, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, bye bye.